Good evening. Welcome to the program on warehouse and inventory management. This is episode number three. I have done two previous episodes. One giving the basic introduction along with the study material or books which you can use it, and the second session, we were seeing as a warehouse manager job role, specifically what kind of experience or knowledge area are required for a warehouse manager. It's not only the process, of course, you have to manage the manpower also. So we have seen in detail what are the requirements for the role of warehouse executive or a supervisor or a manager. So it's always welcome you equip in such a direction. Hope you are able to see me and my voice is clear. If everything is fine, let me go to the session. Let me add the screen. So let me make the screen slides bigger and my figure smaller. So welcome again. My name is Pattabhiraman. You can visit my profile in LinkedIn or YouTube to see detailed about my education, certification, and background. Now we will go directly into the process. The third episode we are going to see on warehouse process. We are going to start with receiving and put away. Whether you are in a manufacturing or e-commerce or any retail distribution environment, this is one of the important process, and this makes the strong foundation for the entire operation, warehouse operation. If we are weak in incoming and receiving areas, then everything will go wrong. So if you are making the incoming area strong, then everything will become perfect. So let us see the process in receiving certain things you should understand. For example, ASN means Advanced Shipping Notice. We'll see some basic detail about this. Then ensure the right product, right quantity, right condition at right time, which is referred to as the supplier compliance. So the people or the executive is responsible to ensure that these items are received as per these four R's, which is mentioned here. This is what our customer will expect from us. So same thing we have to expect from our vendors. Okay. So receiving errors must be rectified much before receipt. Possibly ASN or advanced shipping notice will help us in rectification. When the document is made, you will know what are the contents of document, and you will be able to communicate with the vendor even before dispatch. So there are some requirement you should understand. Possibly some activities have to be coordinated along with the purchase guys, because there is something which we see on the screen as pre-receipt. Supplier to present the goods to warehouse in most appropriate way. If you are handling in a pallet or bin, so supplier should ensure that the items are supplied in the required format. So the order should also specify this requirement. This is the necessity to connect through the purchasing, because if order does not specify anything, then you will get different packaging sizes, and there will be a lot of confusion while receiving the goods. Okay. Then there are issues like overhanging pallets, incorrect or badly positioned labels, supply packing quantity not matching with sell quantity. Of course, all these are purchase order terms. Possibly, along with the planning executive, the warehouse executive has to coordinate with the purchasing, because you cannot directly ask a vendor to change any of this, but this will facilitate not only in receiving but also in the dispatching, especially when you see that packing quantity not matching with the dispatch quantity. Then you have to unpack and repack, which is a additional work, especially in distribution environment. Possibly this may not be a problem in manufacturing environment. Manufacturing, then warehouse executive must be involved in specifying and agreeing the packaging, and also the details like items per carton, cartons per pallet, TSI, how many rows of cartons you can place in a pallet, cases per layer, layers per pallet, labeling. This will ensure that the item are packed in the right condition, and when you receive this item, it is easy to verify the quantity along with the invoice. And also this will help in storage of the item, also picking the item and dispatching the item. So it is a contractual agreement between the buyer and seller, which has to be ensured even before the item is received. So the order should specify the size and type of cartons, transit packaging, possibly in a cardboard, plastic, tortoise, or whatever methods are available. This has to be specified for the quantity which you are trying to take. Meanwhile, anyone watching, if you need any clarification doubts, you can comment or do the chatting, so that I will be able to answer during the session. Most of the time, the item should be expected in a palletized format, unless the quantity is very small. Pallet is required for easy handling of the goods at the inward area. You can either use a forklift or even manual pallet truck for loading, unloading. So the pallet size should be specified. That's where type of pallets is there. Whether your organization wants reusable plastic pallets or wooden pallets, this has to be specified. Labeling and barcoding, this is one of the basic requirement, but you have to see the kind of supplier. It is not that all supplier are willing to do barcoding. So in such case, at least some proper labeling should be available on the package. Mode of transport, it also depends on your receiving area. How big is your receiving area, and also the vehicle entry, maybe the connecting road, all this has to be taken care. These are the agreement earlier to the order. You should understand why we have to specify is there are a lot of benefits for palletizing. It first serves as a protection from loss or damage. Next one is easier and faster handling. I can give more weightage to faster and easier handling. This is where pallets are being used, because then you can mechanically handle these pallets either using forklift or pallet truck. This can also lead to lesser number of employees working. And finally, if you are organizing things neatly in a pallet, this can lead to lower space required. Possibly there are other alternates available, like a slip sheet. You can see in the picture coming now. And double stacking of pallets. Loose loaded item need to be pallets at the inwards. In case the vendor is not possible to palletize the item, then your organization or your team must be ready to palletize this item, for material handling and storage. You can see this is a slip sheet which is being referred. Maybe you can reduce the cost of packaging by avoiding a pallet. You can use these kind of slip sheet, and the cost of this is considerably low compared to the pallet. But in any case, if you are handling this kind of a slip sheet, you need a special attachment to the forklift, and then you can drastically reduce the cost of pallet. In other hand, you should also ensure that there is a clear packing, and there should not be any damage, or the packaging should protect from any potential damage. Coming to the pallet dimension, this is the one thing which the organization has to decide even before the warehouse design happens, because this is a part of entire organizational design. Depending upon your product, both the incoming and the outgoing product, you should decide a common size, and it is always recommended to have only one size of pallet for entire operation of the plant. So you should decide which size is suitable for your product, and also it should match with the layout of any vehicle, maybe for example a truck or container. When you load these pallets, there should not be any loose space. For example, if you are able to load 2.5 pallets in a container width, then you will be wasting of a pallet size inside the container. So this is the reason why you need to select, and there should be a standardization all over the plant or the warehouse. You should use only one size of the pallet. You can see there are various sizes. Of course, there are these are based on ISO standard, and you can see the various sizes being used at the various location or regions. Possibly we use 10,000 by 1200, which is most popular. The other one, if you are looking for smaller one, 800 to 1200 pallet may be suitable. But once again, you have to standardize and finalize while even before you design the warehouse space, because warehouse space you are going to specify in terms of how many pallets you are going to store it in your warehouse. So the capacity of the warehouse is based on number of pallets, and accordingly the design will also proceed. For example, if you are going to design a rack for storage, it is all based on pallet size. So, for example, if you are attending any interest, this information may be very useful. Coming to the factors on pallet, whether it's a two-way entry or four-way entry, also should be penalized depending upon what facility is available inside the warehouse, type of wood used, especially if you are going to use it for dispatch to foreign country, the type of wood should be specific. Type of nails used is also important. Fumigation and other compliance requirement. Especially these requirement come into picture when you are exporting the components using the pallet. The time there will be some specific requirement from some countries asking you to do the fumigation. Of course, you can also ask your vendor to do this, but this will come at a additional cost. But you can eliminate the insects, which is a part of wood. Then suitable material handling equipment has to be done. You cannot use all kind of pallet trucks or forklift. So it should be suited for the size of the pallet, and management should also decide whether we can use a recyclable pallet. Possibly, metallic pallets are getting popular now. Some of the industry, they are also going for a metallic bin, which is a foldable one. In auto industry, we used to use this kind of a metallic bin along with some kind of a trolley and bins which are recirculated. Okay, we never used any packaging like a carton or even a wooden pallet. That's an advanced level, but you may start with doing any of this kind of reusable pallets. And RFID is also becoming popular as a data capture device or location identification, or you can easily search this item and capture data from these tables. Of course, we will see RFID in more detail in the coming sessions. And ease in stock counts, especially the pallet. By seeing the pallet, you should be in a position to count easily how many layers are there, how many cartons per layer are there. So within a carton, how many products are being stored. All this matters here. So this is a sample palette of all of you might have seen this. This is a four-way palette. Okay, either you can put in one direction this side or other side or all the four sides. You may be able to operate the forklift. So this is most preferred way. Next thing is Pareto rule. When you're handling hundreds of supplier, it is not that you have to care for every each one of the supplier. Possibly there are some small category of supplier who are supplying small items. You cannot ask them to supply in pallets or cartons. Maybe you may see C-class items. You may be ordering 100 number seals or nuts or bolts. If they are being delivered loose, then what happens? The managing, asking those supplier to supply becomes a problem, or you focusing on such a requirement will also be difficult. This is where you need to understand the Pareto rule, which is also called 80-20 rule. What does it mean is 20% of your supplier may be supplying 80% of your goods, whether it's incoming raw material or components. 20% of the supplier will be the supplying 80%, which means you need to focus on this 20% supplier and do the development work like pre-order agreements, which we have seen earlier. So this is a basic condition. As you can see that 20% of the supplier cause 80% of the problem. So you need to focus on this 20% to have a better control. Work with these suppliers to introduce improvement. So some type of analytics may be used, or in a plain term, analysis is required. You should know daily basis what kind of product is coming from which supplier, what way they are supplying. So there is a term which we use called warehouse analytics, where you can analyze these of things and then take up with the specific vendors. Okay, then comes the in handling. So warehouse is one area where it is more of a labor focused, especially in Indian operating condition. We do not have 100% automation. Possibly some of the e-commerce company or startup, they may be using completely automated warehouse, but in 90% of the warehouses in India is more of a manual thing. So we may be handling a lot of skilled or unskilled labor. So you need to also match labor hour with the work content. Maybe some item you can lift it by hand, some item you need a specific forklift, then only you can download, or sometimes you also need a crane to download. So all this has to be matched. If the warehouse operation has to be managed, it has to be coordinated. Labor is one more highest, biggest cost in the warehouse. So you have to ensure that you are able to use them in a efficient manner. Okay, and labor is the most difficult cost to control, especially the nowadays you do not get more people working in a warehouse. Especially it involves more of a physical activity, so people are not interested in taking up that work in such environment. So there is a conflicting thing that one is getting the people, providing a workable environment, and also getting work done. Okay, then coming to the preparation, we have seen so far pre-preparation even before the item is come. You need to discuss with the vendor, plan the timing, fix the schedules, and also make sure the unloading bay is available and necessary labor force is also available. So you need some preparation, like what is the time of delivery has to be informed. I have seen many warehouses, they start working from the second of the shift, and by the end of the shift it becomes overloaded, and then it gets extended with overtime and all that. We need to have some kind of a dock scheduling. Okay, if your warehouse is very large and hundreds of vehicle coming going, then you need a IT tool to properly schedule and invert this vehicle. That's where somehow one of the popular software known as WMS, warehouse management system, comes into play. Okay, then manage the manpower and productivity, especially if you are in a supervisor or managerial level. This is the key activity because we may outsource many of the warehouse operation to a third party logistic, because more of a manual work is involved. So in such case, unskilled operator may be available, and managing such a situation needs some experience and knowledge. And if at all you are working in a congested warehouse, then you should also pre-allocate the space. If available space is already full and you are fighting for the space, then the pallet location has to be specified. Offloading, this is where you have to be clear if the item is coming in palletized form, it is fine. If it is coming in any other mode, then it becomes difficult. Okay, check delivery paperwork, and this will be very important if you are working in custom bonded warehouse or in EPZ or SEZ. Everything should match. Of course, even if you are not in this customs zone, you may also have to check as per the order whether the invoice or packing list is matching with part code number and the quantity. Okay, and allot unloading bay, organize appropriate labor and equipment. Automatic equipment, of course, in India, except in e-commerce platform, we are not using to that extent. But maybe in the future, you may see even automatic unloading system will come. But there is a conflict when you go for more of automation. Then job for this labor may become a problem. And whenever you receive smaller item, especially in a non-palletized or loose loaded item, it will definitely going to take more time in terms of checking the quantity or quality of this item. And many times it may also involve sortation of goods received. You may see a lot of conflicting things here. Maybe the management wants you to operate with a lower cost. In such case, you may go for a outsourced unskilled labor. But all this task, whatever you are seeing, may also require some skill. Okay, while the offloading, it should not happen that the item is getting damaged or you overload or overstock the receiving area. Then once the item is received, some visual checking has to be done. There we have two category, possibly in many industry, especially automobile organization. We certify the supplier and make them green pass. In such case, they are self-certified in terms of quality and quantity, and we don't count them. So it is directly sent to the storage area. In case if they are certified supplier, we may do a random audit, because as per the contract, they have to ensure quality and quantity as per the order. If there is any deviation, we are going to penalize, and for any repeated violation, we are going to remove them from certified system supplier list. This is where random checks will be helpful. Once that is done, we are going to record the receipt by using goods receipt note. This is one of the primary function, and most of the organization have some kind of a ERP where this entry is recorded. So there is always a trade-off between time it takes to check inbound deliveries, entry into the system, number of discrepancies found, and the time it takes to deal with them versus goods available for sale. Especially in a distribution environment, you need to do all this activity quickly or ensure that the goods are received from the vendor in a perfect way, because possibly some order is waiting, so this item may have to go immediately for dispatch. So more and more certification certified supplier may be a better choice, and you can reduce the time by using either RFID, radio frequency identification, or the barcodes to reduce the time taken. Meanwhile, any one of you watching live, you are welcome to chat if you need any clarification. Recording and reporting discrepancies. Possibly you will experience these kind of problem in the warehouse if you are already there in the warehouse, like barcodes does not scan, outer carton is greater than 20 kg, means you cannot manually lift it. There are some regulations available in each country or even the state. You cannot lift manually any weight. So there should be indication warning. They are saying that some type of a material handling device is required. Possibly there could be a quantity mismatch. We are going to talk about the quantity in the coming session, because that's going to take a lot of time when the supplier is not certified and you are getting lot of loose item which are like a component, small component which are high value, not a C class item. In such case, manual counting takes lot of time, and it can also leave lot of inventory inaccuracy. Okay, then proper labeling item should be identified. If multiple item being supplied by a single vendor, each item should be separately packed and labeled. Possibly in the warehouse receiving, you have to can observe external damage. You are not responsible for checking the actual quality or inside damage. This is where if you are able to see overall external packaging is fine, then it's okay. Then you can the quality can take up further. And required documentation is also important. Possibly these are part of order conditions. So what are all the documents required? You have to specify them neatly, and if there any damage in the packaging, which are also to be recorded. Of course, to whom to report this is immediately to the person who is giving this product. Maybe it is a supplier vehicle is the person where you have to inform him. Maybe you can write in the acknowledgement saying that there is some damage or quantity mismatch, and possibly this has to be also officially recorded through maybe a mail through the purchasing people. And coming to the next important activity, which is very popular, especially in the distribution and e-commerce platform, concept which is being worked for a used long time, is a cross docking. Okay, this is beneficial when you have a huge number of operation in a retail environment, and there is no necessity to store any of the goods. In such case, warehouse acts as a platform. One side you are getting material from various suppliers through various vehicles. On the other side, there are vehicles waiting to take this item to various clients. So in the platform, maybe there will be only some minor value addition, maybe some mixing, assorting takes place, and as per the order, it is given to the outgoing vehicle. So it's a high technology oriented, and also align should be there, because the timing should be perfect, because the vehicle should not wait in this condition. So the timing should be perfect. Maybe we have seen yesterday one job description, especially related to warehousing and transportation. The timing of arrival should be scheduled properly, and the driver or transportation or supplier should maintain such timing. Then only the cross docking will be beneficial. In this arrangement, we are not going to store any goods here. Maybe it's of temporary nature. So most of the organization are strive to do come to this format, and you may see more and more organization doing this format, which also involves some technological intervention, like apart from some alliance with the vendor and customers. Okay, it definitely increases the throughput rate and reduce the inventory level. Product directly moved from goods into dispatch base. Full support from supplier essential on how they present the products with the clear labeling, advance notice of arrival together with accurate on-time delivery. So it's a huge task. It's not a simple task, as we saw in yesterday's job description we were doing. This point was highlighted. There should be a perfect timing to receive the vehicles. So you can see in this simple picture, the item is being received on one side, and the other side the vehicle is the waiting to carry these items. Okay, possibly in the center they are doing some value addition, maybe mixing or some assortment or sorting, and then putting it to the outgoing vehicle. Maybe a few items may be stored inside the warehouse. Then recording, of course, we have seen GRN. You need to record the product code, description, quantity on arrival, batch number, and serial number. But this is not followed in all organization. Maybe this is more relevant to in perishable kind of industry or edible item or pharmaceutical industries. And the barcode will help the RFID and barcode in easy capture. You need not re-enter the data, and you should see that there are no errors in the recording. Possibly, when you are manually entering the quantity, instead of 100, if you enter 1,000, then it takes a lot of time to rectify, and that leads to wrong material planning. Okay, GRN some format is given here, but if you Google up, you can get various format. Nowadays, it is a part of ERP. Okay, no standalone used. And coming to next activity in warehouse, maybe warehouse executives are not expected to be a quality inspector, but you need to quality align or allies with the quality function. Okay, more stringent checking on receipt, including high value item, food, hazardous goods, temperature sensitive goods, and pharmaceutical. Maybe this becomes critical. So you need to provide separate inspection area where you do not have agreement with the vendors, like a certified supplier or green pass supplier. And you also need a separate quarantine area, making such items unavailable for picking. Maybe these are old items waiting for some information from the vendor, or some rework has to be done in such kind of products. And the green pass, of course, you need to do some random check. Okay, so what this slide means is, wherever you do not have agreement with the vendor for green pass, then you need to specifically have a separate area for inspection, and also separate area for quarantining the item which is not meeting the specification. The next activity comes put away. The item received will be moved to the storage area. Whether you need to unpack at this stage, it remains to be seen. But in the distribution environment, normally they do not unpack the item and directly put it in the location. Whereas in the manufacturing warehouse, they usually unpack, even count the item, and transfer it to some bin or some storage location. Okay. WMS, if you are using, maybe that may allocate product location in advance and instruct the operator as to where to place the goods. Of course, most of the traditional organizations they do not use WMS. There are a lot of advantages of using WMS, including random storage location. But in the traditional organization, it's all standard fixed locations. Okay, convention is a fixed location. Here also there are some skill is required. You should ensure that the put away people are putting in the right location. Otherwise, it will lead to lot of inventory management problems. Suppose if this person is going to put in a wrong location, then subsequently there will be lot of work. Somebody will be searching for this item. There will be mismatch. Then customer is waiting. All this issue can be avoided by having the right kind of people in put away. So storage location preference, of course, this is also a part of warehouse design. So if we are handling hazardous item, they need to be segregated and it should be available in suitable or appropriate area. And every warehouse, you may see one of the reports. Even recently, I have liked in LinkedIn. The theft is one of the major problem in warehouse, even in US, not only in India. So if you are having any high value item, possibly that should be in a secured area, and you should also know where to place what item. Like we do something called FSN analysis, fast moving, slow moving item, and keep them in appropriate place. And possibly in the warehouse layout design, you may have to consider the storing of items with the similarity. For example, gearbox parts or motors or cables are stored in a specific location. Possibly, you can also see from a customer angle, item bought together must be stored together or used together. For example, if you are in a production environment, nut cannot be separately used, possibly. So, nuts and bolts or female and male parts are stored together. Okay, these are the basic information in the first stage of warehouse operation. And if you are able to maintain high level of discipline and quality at this area, and the preceding activity becomes important. Okay. Any one of you watching any question, you can type in the chat box, or maybe if you are watching offline, also you are welcome to type in the comments so that we can come back. So we are going to see each session, one each one of the processes involved in the warehouse, and also we are going to see about the technology or material handling equipment, packaging, WMS, and also how the inventory management is being handled. So, if there is anything anyone wants to discuss, you can type in now so that I am available for a few more seconds for any doubts or clarification. There are a lot of requirements for warehouse executive. Maybe in India, unfortunately, we do not have proper location educational institutes which can provide proper education, practical training on warehouse management. So it only happens by joining in some organization, and some other colleagues are training. So this is where I am trying to provide this kind of a training where whatever may be the level you are able to upskill and apply for a job, or if you are already working in a warehouse, you can see how you can improve your work in the warehouse. So we are also going to see various ways in which warehouse process or activity can be improved, and we are going to see in the coming session. So, is there any questions which has to be answered? You are always welcome to reach to our executives for any doubts or clarification or on any of our training program. One of our popular program is supply chain analytics. We also have a program on warehouse management, different context. So different kind of training is available. If you are interested, you are welcome to reach to our executives. Thanks for watching.